Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Metropolitan Republican Club's webinar series. My name is Krisha Lenzo. On behalf of the Met Club Board, we're so happy that you're joining us tonight. We have a special guest this evening, Rich Valdes. So who better to talk about all things Cuomo, about what's happening in New York politics, as well as geopolitically. Quick background on Rich. If you don't know him, you obviously should. He is one of the producers, also one of the hosts of the Mark Levin Show. Also has his own podcast, which is widely received, called This is America with Rich Valdes. He's a native New Yorker and also an advocate for conservative Latinos. And we want to hear all that and more. But first off, thank you so much, Rich, for joining us tonight.
You bet. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. I'm sorry, I'm outside at a restaurant. So if there's a little bit of noise and I don't want to bother everybody, but it's my pleasure to be with you guys. And thanks for putting up with the delay.
Oh, my goodness. Well, first off, it's been a crazy news cycle, and you're a journalist, you're a host. Can you tell us your take on what happened with Cuomo's resignation today and what you could potentially expect to see in the future in the upcoming days, given your reporting?
Well, putting my commentator hat on, I'll say this. This was something I was on Newsmax just a couple of days ago talking about. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, I said, I don't know, maybe he makes it, maybe he survives, maybe this, maybe that. There was a lot of but ifs. And I think a lot of those but ifs are still there. We don't know how quickly they were going to be able to impeach. Is he trying to avoid an impeachment? Is he trying to avoid serious jail time by saying, hey, look, I'll take the fall, I'm out? What type of deal can he get politically, not even legally? And there's more to come. I mean, he's apologizing for brushing his hand on a state trooper that may have been a girl and for saying things to people. And he's avoiding everything that's being alleged, like him touching people beneath their clothing. Right? He hasn't said, oh, by accident. Hey, yeah. I'm sorry. Right? So, I mean, he still has a lot of, as the Cuban actor, right, Desi Arnaz would say, he got a lot of splaining to do. He definitely has a lot of that. So, I mean, it did come as a surprise to me. I thought he was going to put up more of a fight, but he didn't. And here we are.
No, definitely. And you have been someone who's come out and spoken against Cuomo from the get-go, not only about this incident, but also about the nursing homes. What do you think will happen there? Do you think we will see justice, especially with this current attorney general?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of families right now in New York that lost family members to COVID-19 and saying, you know what, we're glad that this governor is gone. But I think that there's still a lot of people that are going to say, you know what he did was criminal. And we want to see what happens with the criminal charges. Is he just going to walk away because he's a politician and vis-a-vis his relationship with the Kennedys? And I think people are tired of seeing people get by on their opulence, on their legacy, on their pedigree. And I think people are going to push hard for this criminally.
Finally. Yeah, I hope that's the case. Another key issue, which you have been very outspoken about, which unfortunately is not as much in the news cycle as it should be, and was a few weeks ago, not a month ago, is the situation on the ground in Cuba. You've been someone who's also talked about that issue. Can you tell us, an update, what's happening there, and how we can support the Cubans who are fighting for their rights, their fundamental freedom?
Yeah, so this is interesting. This is one of those things where this is going to be a little bit long-winded, but when I was with Governor Christie, part of what I did was I sat on not a board, but an advisory committee, and we served at the pleasure of the governor. And we were never let go by the incoming Governor Murphy. So we still are part of this CHPRD, the Center for Hispanic Policy Research and Development for the state of New Jersey, and it's housed within the New Jersey State Department of State. And we haven't been extremely active. There's a few, meetings that we've had where we talk about things very colloquially. However, we did formally, individually, but formally put a letter together, and we put a press release out saying that we did call on Governor Murphy to support any initiatives to provide internet to the people in Cuba, whether it's from our base in Guantanamo Bay. However the Americans could help, we should be helping. And this was something that I'm not sure was well received by the folks, maybe not by Governor Murphy himself, but some of the people in his administration that deal with the Center for Hispanic Policy Research and Development took exception to that. And I think expedited the removal of us being on this advisory committee. So it's interesting that, as the great one, you pointed out that I work with the great one, and he's a mentor to me on the radio. He points out in his book, it's the American Marxist that's really bringing a lot of the drama that we see right now politically. And those people are alive and well, and they're at work in the state government in New Jersey, in the state government in New York. There are American Marxists among us. And it's interesting to see how just a simple request, like a bunch of people who are politically active saying, you know what, we want to support liberty in Cuba, and we want them to have access to the internet so they can exercise free speech. And for that to somehow be viewed badly, I think it's just shocking to think that there are Americans that do that. However, I went to get a cafecito, a small little café con leche at my favorite Cuban spot, and the owner there, he's a relatively young guy, but he came to the United States at 26 years old, so he grew up under communism. And he told me, he said, you know what, Rich, it's very easy to be an American communist because we've got air conditioning, we've got free speech, we've got all sorts of things. He said, all the things you don't have in Cuba.
Right. No, it's certainly a luxury, and we feel for the Cubans who are on the ground struggling, even to get a hold of their loved ones. An organization that you've made headlines, though, with respect to Latinos and supporting those who are trying to relate to different groups with the democracy and the Democratic Republic agenda, is the Libertad agenda. Can you talk about that, and where can people find more information?
Yeah, it's been a slow start because of the lazy days of summer. But coming to the end of the summer and in early fall, we plan to really kick off big time with a little bit of a kickoff event, probably in the Bronx or somewhere in the 5 boroughs, to really get on the map and invite a lot of people, request a lot of support, both financial, volunteerism, all of that. Because the whole goal here is it's our focus is to be an education campaign, but not very traditional education. We want to educate people where they're at. So when they're scrolling, right, whether it's ads on Twitter, ads on Facebook, ads wherever, we're pushing the message of the free markets and ultimately a message of liberty. You know, the agenda is liberty, and that's why we call it the Libertad agenda.
No, it's an incredible program, and we definitely want to hear more and hear more from you in person too. But it was great to check in with you tonight, Rich. Crazy day, and appreciate your time. One last thing, where can we find you? How can people listen to you? All the plugs.
You got it. Yeah, I'm at Rich Valdes on all of the social media. Rich Valdes with an S, and I look forward to it. I do try to get back at everybody on social media. And if I don't get back, I do watch what's going on. When people have advice, I try to implement it into the show and what we're doing. And of course, you could check in with me every week, 3 times a week on This Is America with Rich Valdes. And I would love it if you'd subscribe. Anybody who's watching, you're welcome to do that. And let's have a conversation and keep it moving, because there's a lot of America saving to do.
And you're part of it, Rich. So we're thankful to you and grateful that you're joining us tonight.
And thank you to the Met Club. Thank you, Trisha. We appreciate it.
Of course. Take care, Rich. Have a nice night. Good night, everyone.